Good morning, scholars. This is Mr. Santoni. It is Wednesday, September 9th, and I wanted to go over our mini lesson for the day. Today's mini lesson is centered around figurative language, more specifically the symbolism in Dear Martin. I'm going to go over a quick rundown of the symbolism of the hoodie. On page 8 of the novel, if you have a copy of the book or if you have the PDF, it is page 12. A very important symbol is introduced, and it starts when Officer Castillo racially profiles Justice, and he sees him walking down the road with that hood on. And then Justice thinks so the hood was a bad idea. Now, the hoodie is an important symbol, not just because Justice is racially profiled and stereotyped as dangerous as he's wearing the hoodie, but because in our current society, we know that many black men are racially profiled and stereotyped and labeled as dangerous to society because they're wearing hoodies. And this is no different in Dear Martin. So I wanted to analyze the symbolism of the hoodie. And we can analyze the symbolism of the hoodie by asking ourselves some questions, such as what happens to Justice in the beginning of the novel? We know what happens to him. He's racially profiled. Why does this happen to him? It happens to him because he is a black kid wearing a hoodie. And then what leads the officer to assume that Justice is up to no good? We know that is because he is wearing a hoodie and because of the color of his skin. Now, how does this contribute to Officer Castillo calling him a punk and arresting him? Well, we can see that this happens because the hooded sweatshirt Justice wears in the first scene of Dear Martin comes to represent the fact that some police officers jump to conclusions about young black men based on their appearances. Shortly after Officer Castillo violently throws Justice to the ground, he says, "I knew your punk ass was up to no good when I saw you walking down the road with that goddamn hood on." That quotation is right here. This illustrates the extent to which Castillo has imbued Justice's hoodie with meaning, referencing it as a sign that Justice is quote-unquote up to no good. Of course, the sweatshirt itself is from Justice's preparatory school, and thus marks him as not a troubled criminal, but as a high-achieving young man. We can see that this is a little bit ironic, because while he's wearing a hoodie and he's racially profiled, labeled as dangerous, we know that that hoodie belongs to the prep school that he goes to, the rich, preppy school that he attends. So it's a little ironic that Castillo thinks of him as a dangerous man. But he does this, and we have to understand, because he is a black man. So he's definitely racially profiling him. In this way, the hoodie stands and symbolizes for the biases and assumptions that Justice has to deal with simply because of the color of his skin and the way he looks. So that's a very easy symbol. I recommend clicking on this article and reading the insightful personal accounts of many black men discussing the stereotypes around black men and why they are lining up for the shoot where they all wear hoodies. It's very important, very powerful, and I would highly recommend clicking on it and reading it. Now, there's a few other symbols that I wanted to get into, and you will have to analyze at least one of these symbols in the exit ticket. The first one is Manny's wristwatch. Now, Manny's wristwatch is given to Justice by Manny's parents after Manny is killed in a racially charged incident. Now, it's no coincidence that the only thing Justice has left of his best friend is something that he wears around his wrist, because as we know that Justice is always hyper aware of his wrist throughout the novel. So we have to ask ourselves, why is he always so aware of his wrist throughout the novel? And we know that because of the incident to Officer Castillo. Remember, this event in the beginning of the novel is so important to understanding Justice and his motivations later on. One thing that he does remember about the incident that he keeps ruminating on is his wrists. He remembers his wrists because the handcuffs that were placed on him were very painful and they hurt his wrists. And now, in this same area where his wrists are, where the handcuffs once were, now Manny's wristwatch is there. So what was once a symbol of oppression by the culture of power, the white culture of power, which was the handcuffs. Now there is a wristwatch given to him by the family of his best friend Manny, who passed away. So, what do you think this means when it comes to to the analysis and symbolism of the wristwatch? And very importantly, this question right here: what is Nick Stone, the author of Dear Martin, suggesting can heal the pain of these wounds? That is up to you to answer in your exit ticket should you choose the symbolism of the wristwatch. Lastly, is the symbolism of Dr. King's letters. I'm going to leave this one a little bit open ended to see if you decide to tackle this one. A big help is to go to page 10 of the book, which is the first letter to Dr. King. In that first letter to Dr. King, Justice really stresses why he's writing to Dr. King. And if you read this entire section and this entire page once again, I think you'll have a better idea of why writing to Martin Luther King is so important to justice. And ask yourselves, what does MLK mean to justice? What does MLK mean to society, our society today? When is he referenced? Why do we reference him? And what does MLK mean to you personally? Now, I leave it up to you to analyze these symbols, but remember, use these guiding questions to help you in your full paragraph response. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you complete your exit ticket. Make sure that you do the common lit homework today, and make sure that the Dear Martin summer reading essay is submitted by 9 p.m. tonight. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. Take care, and I will see you all tomorrow.